When Adaf Owa was traded from the Baltimore Ravens to the Los Angeles Chargers, it didn't just mark the end of a chapter. It opened the door for a new narrative, one that Owa himself seems more than ready to write. The outside linebacker didn't waste any time breaking his silence, and while his words weren't hostile, they definitely carried weight. There was a mix of honesty, reflection, and maybe even a little edge. The kind of tone that suggests a player who knows what he wants and feels like he didn't get the full opportunity to show it in Baltimore. Owa told reporters in Los Angeles that he was initially shocked by the trade. He got the call while driving home from the Ravens facility. In a flash, he was coast to coast, packing up his locker in Maryland and landing in California, ready to suit up for a new team. He showed up to Chargers practice wearing number 51, although he admitted he didn't love how it looked on him and plans to switch to number 98. That little detail might seem insignificant, but it gives a glimpse into a guy who's focused on every part of this reset, from the number on his jersey to the system he's walking into. And it's that system change that seems to be the biggest part of Owa's motivation. He openly acknowledged that once he didn't get an extension from the Ravens, he pretty much knew the writing was on the wall. In his words, he wanted an opportunity to play in a new system and prove what he could be to people who are actually trying to see that. That's not a bitter quote, but it's definitely a message. Owa feels like what he can bring to the table wasn't being showcased in Baltimore. He even used the word animosity to describe what's driving him now. And when a player says he's carrying that kind of chip on his shoulder, that's not something to take lightly. The Ravens never really got consistent production out of him. Through 5 games this season, he had 0 sacks and didn't make much of a statistical impact. That doesn't mean he wasn't affecting plays. Owa himself pointed out that he was getting pressures and believed those would eventually turn into sacks. But the impact didn't translate on the scoreboard or in the win column. That might explain why the Ravens felt it was time to move on. Head coach John Harbaugh commented on the deal, saying the team didn't make the decision lightly, but that there were multiple factors involved in the move. For Owa, though, the fit in Los Angeles might just be exactly what he needs. The Chargers, often dubbed the LA Ravens because of how many former Baltimore figures are involved with the team, offer some familiar faces and philosophies. Joe Hortiz, now with the Chargers, was a key piece in Owa's draft process back in Baltimore. That kind of familiarity matters. Owa even said this is a perfect place for him, a different experience, but one that still offers some of the comfort of the past. It's the kind of blend that could let him unlock the potential he felt was bottled up on the East Coast. He also made it clear that being traded and not being wanted by his old team has fired him up. He's not the first player to feel that way, and he won't be the last. But the honesty in how he said it made it stand out. He acknowledged that, yes, he saw this coming to some degree, especially when extension talks with the Ravens didn't go anywhere. Still, he didn't expect the move to happen this early, before the trade deadline. That part caught him off guard. But from the sound of it, mentally, he had already moved on. And maybe that explains a lot about his on-field performance. If he truly knew his time was almost up, maybe the fire wasn't there. Maybe he was checked out. For a player in a contract year, usually a time when you want to make your strongest case, it's a tough situation to be in when your own team clearly isn't ready to commit. But now that he's out of Baltimore, it's a clean slate. The Chargers believe he can be more than what he showed. That belief alone might be enough to get Owa back to the level that made him a first-round pick. As for Baltimore, they've got to figure out who steps up in his place. Even though Owa wasn't producing this year, he still took up valuable snaps and brought some pressure. The Ravens' defense is struggling across the board. This isn't just about one guy. They've allowed 37 points or more in 4 of their first 5 games, and they're bottom 5 in the league in nearly every major defensive metric. Third down stops? Rare. Red zone efficiency? Weak. Sack numbers? Embarrassing. It's been a collapse from a franchise that used to be known for its defensive dominance. And with the roster shakeup that sent Owa west and brought in Alohi Gilman, plus a little pick swap, Baltimore made it clear they're not happy with how things are going. The trade wasn't just about one player. It was a message, a shake of the snow globe. This season, so far, is slipping away. The team also added C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the practice squad, another sign that the front office isn't just sitting on their hands. When asked whether the Ravens would continue exploring moves before the trade deadline, John Harbaugh didn't give a direct answer, but he didn't shut the door either. He admitted those conversations are happening. It felt like a coach's version of stay tuned, and honestly, it would be surprising if Baltimore were done. They cleared about $7 to $8 million in cap space by moving Oa, and that's room they could use to bring in help. Whether that's another edge rusher or reinforcements elsewhere on the defense, something has to change. The bigger question is, what's the identity of this Ravens team? Because right now, it's hard to tell. Injuries have wrecked them, yes, but it's more than that. The defense lacks energy. The players look dejected. The sideline looks defeated. Watching the broadcast cuts during games, it's like every close-up shows a different Raven either injured or emotionally drained. The vibes are just off. And that's not something you fix with just a trade or a new play call. That's cultural. That's foundational. The Week 6 matchup against the Rams is now looming large. Baltimore, sitting at 1 win and 4 losses, desperately needs something to spark a turnaround. But they may have to do it without Lamar Jackson, who's dealing with a hamstring issue. Given that the Ravens have a bye coming up next week, there's a real possibility that they choose to hold him out, giving him time to recover fully. That would mean Cooper Rush, not exactly known for improvisation or extending plays, would be under center. And without Lamar's ability to avoid sacks and keep drives alive, the already shaky offensive line will be even more exposed. That line has been a major issue this season. Injuries, inconsistency, and just plain poor play have haunted the Ravens up front. Ronnie Stanley has been banged up, and his backup, Joe Noteboom, looked overwhelmed in the blowout loss to Houston. 4 missed blocks in the first half alone told the story. If both Stanley and Noteboom can't go, the Ravens could be forced to start rookie Carson Vincent, which would be a massive test against a Rams defensive front that is top 10 in both run defense and pass rush efficiency. As if the Ravens' offensive line didn't have enough problems, the interior has arguably been even worse than the edges. Andrew Voorhees and Daniel Falale have struggled mightily at the guard spots, failing to create running lanes or hold up in pass protection. Even Tyler Linderbaum, typically one of the more reliable pieces up front, hasn't looked like himself. Some of that could be because of the chaos around him, but the overall result is the same. This line is not giving the offense a chance to function, especially in games where Lamar Jackson isn't available to bail them out with his legs. And that's the real concern going into this game against a Rams front that's firing on all cylinders. You've got Byron Young already with 5 sacks this season, Jared Verse drawing double teams and still finding ways to impact plays, and Aaron Donald being, well, Aaron Donald. Even if he's not the same game wrecker he once was, he still demands constant attention and changes the way quarterbacks play. If Cooper Rush ends up starting this game for Baltimore, he's going to have to make quick decisions and get the ball out fast, because he's not going to have much time to operate. On the flip side, the Ravens' defense might be just as overmatched against the Rams' offense. Matthew Stafford is quietly putting together another strong year, leading the league in passing yards. Puka Nacua is leading the league in receiving yards. Karen Williams is top 10 in rushing. This is a Rams offense that moves the ball with efficiency, variety, and confidence. The only thing that's really holding them back right now is themselves. Mental mistakes, fumbles, blocked kicks, poor execution in key moments. But it's not a talent issue. It's a focus issue. And against a Ravens defense that seems to have forgotten how to get off the field, this could be a big opportunity for the Rams to get right. The numbers are damning for Baltimore. Over the last 2 games, they've forced just 2 punts in 20 total possessions, 1 per game, both late in the fourth quarter. That's not just unsustainable, it's a recipe for disaster. And with Roquan Smith potentially out, Marlon Humphrey still battling injuries, and the team juggling pieces at nearly every position, it's hard to imagine this group suddenly locking it down. There's hope, of course, in the form of young talent. Nate Wiggins has been one of the lone bright spots in the secondary, showing flashes of being a true number 1 corner. But even he is being asked to do a lot right now. With Humphrey likely out again and Jair Alexander working back from missing nearly all of training camp, the Ravens could find themselves depending on a group of corners who just don't have the experience or chemistry to handle the kind of passing attack the Rams bring. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. Those guys can turn a decent coverage rep into a big gain in a heartbeat. And if Stafford has time, he's going to find them. Baltimore will likely have to turn to some unexpected names to try to patch things up. Trenton Simpson, a 3rd-round pick out of Clemson, is one of those players who could see more reps now that Owa is gone. He played a lot of outside linebacker in college and showed flashes of being a high-impact player when used correctly. Simpson might be asked to rush the passer more, which creates another domino effect. If he's outside, the inside linebacker depth takes a hit, especially with Roquan Smith likely sitting. That's where guys like Teddy Buchanan, a fourth-round rookie out of Cal, come into play. Buchanan wore the green dot last week, a huge responsibility for a rookie, and did a solid job managing the defense. But the learning curve is steep, especially against an offense that spreads the field like the Rams. Then there's the safety group. Kyle Hamilton, when healthy, has been one of the best defensive players on the team. But he's also banged up. Marcus Williams is out. Geno Stone has been forced into a bigger role. And now the Ravens have added Jalen Kearse, formerly of the Rams, to the active roster. He's mostly known for special teams. That blocked punt against Cleveland stands out, but he might be forced into real defensive snaps if the injuries pile up. And based on what we've seen so far, that's not an ideal scenario. If Baltimore has to depend on a guy like Kearse to slow down the Rams' passing game, they're in trouble. To make matters worse, the Rams are coming off a loss to the 49ers, a game they absolutely could have won if not for a series of mistakes. And that might actually be bad news for the Ravens. Sean McVay teams typically respond well to adversity. They're not used to sloppiness, and when it shows up, they tend to tighten things up quickly. And the Rams know what's at stake. A win here, against a struggling Ravens team, could put them right back on track and build momentum heading into the second half of the season. They play Jacksonville and London next week and have a bye after that. But a win in Baltimore would make that stretch feel manageable. A loss. That's 2 in a row, heading overseas, facing a hot Jaguars team, and the entire season could start to feel shaky. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing, and the latest whisper could shake the AFC North to its core. STROUD, the young quarterback sensation, is reportedly set to join the Baltimore Ravens. Sources close to the situation suggest that STROUD has agreed to a 3-season deal, instantly catapulting him into the spotlight as the franchise's next potential star. If true, this move could signal a major shift for the Ravens, who have been quietly restructuring their offense and looking for a dynamic presence under center. Fans and analysts alike are already speculating on what this could mean for the Ravens' offensive strategy. STROUD, known for his quick release and sharp decision-making, could bring a fresh energy to a team that has long relied on its ground game and a more methodical passing attack. Imagine the combination of STROUD's mobility and arm strength with the Ravens' stable of receivers. It's enough to get supporters dreaming of playoff runs and even a Super Bowl push. The timing is intriguing, too. With the NFL landscape constantly evolving, adding a young, high-profile quarterback could dramatically alter the Ravens' trajectory for years to come. Of course, nothing is confirmed, and insiders caution that negotiations in the league are notoriously fluid. Still, the buzz is palpable. Social media channels are already lighting up with Ravens fans speculating on jersey sales, potential starting lineups, and how quickly STROUD could adapt to Baltimore's playbook. Analysts are debating whether this signals a long-term commitment to building around a young quarterback or if the team is hedging its bets on a short-term experiment. Either way, the rumor has ignited conversations across the league. The mere idea of STROUD joining the Ravens has energized the fan base. It's the kind of story that makes off-season chatter irresistible, blending optimism, uncertainty, and just a hint of controversy. Will this be the dawn of a new era in Baltimore, or just another tantalizing what-if in the world of NFL speculation? For now, the buzz continues, and everyone from casual fans to diehard analysts is keeping a close eye on the situation. One thing seems certain. If STROUD really lands in Baltimore, the Ravens are about to become the team everyone will be watching. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.